It's my privilege to introduce Shane Elliot. And Shane has been involved with Moodle for a very long time, since its conception as such, and was originally working in Perth on the very first Moodle. So it has a lot of information behind it. And I'll hand over to Shane to tell you more about himself.
Cool. Thanks, Wendy. Oh, and people are coming in. I thought we'd get away with just 3 of us. Yes, all right. Presenting on Ménage à Trois, labels, completion, and conditional access. I'll start this off with my usual apologies of being completely disorganized. So I'm hoping this works. I haven't tested some of these slides out. Right, we'll go through this. Just wanted to talk about these three things and how they go together. And I'll probably just start off about who I am, for those who don't know me. That's my daughter next to me, my oldest daughter. It's really not that interesting. I was a teacher for many years. At the end of the day, I'm actually more of a nerdy type person, enjoy development and so on. Was involved in very early versions of Moodle and the development of it. These days work with Pukunui, so we do all sorts of LMS and e-learning things. So that's what I do these days. And currently based in Hong Kong. And I should say, as I go, if there's any questions, hit them in the chat. So the plan today it's really quite simple, actually. It's just an overview of completion tracking, an overview of what conditional access or restrict access is in Moodle, going through where we turn the systems on, so that's more of a basic how-to, and then just showing 5 examples of how we can put these things together. And this has really come about by through, it actually got triggered a couple of weeks ago on a console at a school kind of education institute, and one of the teachers there was just asking me if some things were possible, and it was kind of good. After I thought about it, I said yes, and it was just putting together these 3 systems. She was up to something that would give a video notice to students if they hadn't completed certain activities in the course after a certain date and time. And it's all quite possible, it's just how we think about it. And I thought, well, actually, over time, people have come up, and there's been different ideas. I thought it would be good to put some of these together, and so I've just put in 5 examples as I've thought about them and talked with other people. But I'm sure everyone here will have their own ideas, so it'd be great to put these together as well. If you have examples of how you use these things together, and at the end, yeah, summary, questions, drink time if we need. I'm sure it's drink o'clock somewhere in the world for someone. So, moving on. Overview of completion tracking. So it's really 2 questions you need to ask is, what does it mean to complete an activity? Because that could be very different to just getting a grade for it, for instance. And some things you don't get grades, but you might have to do it. You might have to complete the activity. And so in Moodle, any activity or any resource you can complete, and depending on the type, there's different requirements you can put in there for what it means to complete that activity. And the second question is, what does it mean to complete a course? Again, it might be more than just getting a grade for the course. There might be some resources you want your end users to read. Maybe they have to do an evaluation form, so there's no grade reported, but it's something that's part of the course. And overview of conditional access is where you're asking, is there some sort of sequence or workflow to the activities or resources that are in your course that you want people to step through in a sequence, or maybe you need to split off into learning pathways. And so you can put conditions on these different activities. And yeah, So maybe you have to, if you get 60% in a quiz, you can do if you do this further activity. If you got less than 60%, then maybe you do another activity. So you can put conditions on the resources activities that are in Moodle. And there's probably a few of these cartoons throughout these slides. I just like XKCD. I don't know if anyone reads it, but I do. Very nerdy cartoon. So. Yeah. And if you do go to the site, some of the funniest parts are actually the rollover when you put your mouse over the little picture. It's the title text, the alternate text that goes with it. It's usually quite witty as well. I didn't copy them because, yeah. So moving on. I've actually had a lot of insight into things from XKCD. I've also learned a lot because he quite often will talk about concepts, I think. Just really interesting. I've gone away and actually gone and studied about it. Probability demanding a story. Very good. So next step, turning the systems on. I've made an assumption that most of us are probably on top of these systems, but I just thought in case someone maybe watches this later or hasn't seen these systems. There's a few steps to this. So by default, the conditional activities and the completion tracking are both turned off on Moodle sites on a fresh install. So it actually requires a site administrator to go and turn these on. And where you find it is in the site administration under advanced features. And really the advanced features is an area in the administration where you turn systems on and off. It's essentially what it is. So within that, there's a whole list of these. This is towards the bottom of the list. And there's the two settings there. So enable completion tracking and enable restricted access. So really, just a site administrator needs to go and turn these on. For the completion tracking, it's also required that you need to turn it on per course where you want to use it. So just turning on at the site level won't turn it on for each course, but it will give you the settings. So if you go into the course administration, edit the settings for an existing course, there'll be a little section that says completion tracking. And by default, that's off. Then teachers for the courses can go and turn it on. You can use it. The restrict access or conditional access, once it's on the site level, that's just available across the whole site. Probably the real reason they're turned off is that it just adds extra settings to every activity or resource when you add it. So it just complicates the interface a little bit. Oh, there we go. I had a slide about it. Yeah, so this is within an activity. I don't even think which one this is. I think there's a page resource from memory. So that's where the settings are. If you go and edit any resource or activity, you'll see that under common module settings, there'll be two extra groups of settings once these are on. Restrict access and activity completion. So, that's just turning the systems on. That's a bit of a how-to. Again, I assume that most people have probably played with this and have this, or if you're not a site administrator, at least it might be on. You've seen these settings before. Would that be correct? If everyone, just shoot me a yes in the chat if you have already played with these systems. Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's move on. What's the next slide? Oh yeah, that was just a reminder for me to stop talking. Let me get on with it. So let's start putting these things together, and I'll talk through some of these settings and so on, how I've done these. So in the course, I'll show this in the course for this presentation. These 5 examples are in there, and they should have just been released. They were time-based release to start 10 minutes after the course. So you're most welcome to go back to the course page. Actually, I've got a link on the next page anyway, to go and see how these are. I've done examples of all these examples that are coming up. Just a quick word about labels. I think labels are one of the most useful and versatile tools in Moodle. Probably very understated. That you can do quite a lot with it. In fact, I remember someone at an iMoot many years ago said it was if they only had one tool in Moodle, it would be they could use would be the labels. Natalie, I have a sneaking suspicion it was you who made a comment like that, actually. So moving on. Yeah, so for those who are in this in the iMoot, you can go back to the course page for this presentation, and there are live examples towards if you scroll down the page. I'll go through these. Yeah, I thought I'd just make a fun one. So I've done 5 examples. As I said, these are just 5 I've come up with, through just talking with people, and they seem to be regular conversations I have. And as I said, I'm sure between all of us, there's more ideas. I'm not saying I know all of the possibilities of this, but I thought I'd put these out there as examples. So one of them is you can set policy agreements. And so you can set a label, and I've got a copy of the one I have in the course. So if you go back to the course now, you'll see that there is a superhero code of conduct up there that you can read, and underneath is this label. I agree to adhere to the superhero code of conduct. Now, all the other activities in the course actually should be hidden. I haven't tested it, but they should be hidden until you tick the box on that one. And so we've seen sites, we've actually seen a lot of corporate sites where they need to actually have a record of users agreeing to their terms and conditions or their policies for use of the site. And while they might have site policies, what they want to do is sometimes have it just for a course. And so this is a very easy way to do it. Put in a label. Yep. Yeah, you put in a label, and everything else in the course is connected to this one thing. They need to tick it before they do anything else. So in other words, they won't be able to complete the course, get any grades until they've actually agreed to terms and conditions. And there'll be a log record of this. You just know if they've done anything else in the course, they've had to have ticked this box here. All right, and Dorothy just written, I'm just reading this out because in the recording the chat doesn't come up. But Dorothy just wrote, yes, that's how we use it for each VET course. Have to read assessment processes. Have to read the assessment processes. Oh yeah, students acknowledge they've received the assignment. Hadn't thought of that. That's actually quite a good one, isn't it? So I guess you make that the assignment available, whether it's a resource like a PDF or something, but then they have a box to tick before they do anything else in the course. And I guess that would be how it goes. Yes, awesome. We should really we should get into a demo site, shouldn't we, and just put all these ideas together. So maybe afterwards we should brainstorm. I should copy this chat, and I'll try to put some more examples in there. And yeah, all right. So that's the first example. So you'll see that on my site. A little counter here, and I need to slow down slightly. So the second one is actually very simple badges. Oh yes, Natalie, just reading your comment, Vinny showed you how to send that through to an email to meet audit requirements using the Moodle events. Yeah, the events are really good. I'm sure Vinny talked about it. There's events triggered for just about everything in Moodle. Anything that happens, here's an event, you can deal with it. Send notifications out. The second example is just doing really simple badges. So this is a copy of I'm calling them badges, but really they're just labels. They're just an image I created. And I actually used an online site to do this, Button Factory, I think it was, to create these very quickly. But the idea is that you need to meet some requirements to get these. And you can see the requirements there. So as you complete the activities, you'll get the simple badges. So it's I know Moodle has a badging system in it that locks them with open badges. The nice thing about this, though, it appears in that course page as well, and you can it makes it obvious to the students what they need to do to get to the badges as well. It's a bit harder with the badges that are built into Moodle. That's all, showing those requirements. Possible, but a little bit harder to do it. And so again, I've seen courses like this. I've seen teachers do it with their gamifying things. In fact, our last example was about gamification. And so I saw Julian actually did one. That's the one, Warren, to buttonfactory.com. Love that. And so, yeah, so Julian, I think years ago, he did a course on World War II history, or might have been one of the wars, just on that, and basically did it as soldiers trying to get their, I don't know what they're called, the little badges, the things they wear on their uniforms. And so each soldier in the course had to go through and do different tasks and do different training, he called it, and so on. So it was a lot of fun. Lynn, your question, what is that status notification created using? You mean the picture in there, that where the red button is now? That's the button factory as well. So, or when I get to the next section, you mean in the course? Oh yes, well I'll get to that one. Yeah, that's actually my next one. So I'll explain that in a minute. Yeah, so simple badges is really just using labels, and they will appear. In this case, the labels are just images, and they will appear based on some requirements. So it gamifies it a little. The next example, and you'll see this in the course, is status notifications. So what you will see if you're in the course, you'll see one of the, well done Natalie, you see the fireworks, you've got the green one at the bottom here. You'll see one of these 4 status notification messages. So to explain how I've set this up, and is that I've set up 4 labels. And so one of them says you have completed 0 of 3 required tasks, and you have completed 1 of 3, you've completed 2 of 3, you've completed 3 of 3. And then the requirements on each of them are slightly different. So for the first one, it's just that you have not completed any of the 3 tasks or activities that are down below. The second one is putting a combination together. And so I really wish I'd screenshotted the restrict access, the fields, how they're put together. I'll probably do that in my repeat session. What I've done is I've used restriction sets. So what I've said is there's 3 restriction sets, and within each of them is, so the first one, you see there's 3 requirements. The first one is saying the first activity is complete, but the second 2 are not complete. The second restriction set says the 1 and 3 are not complete, the second one is complete, and the third one is the first 2 are not complete, and the third one is complete. And then the overall condition is that any of those 3, so it's an or condition between the 3 restriction sets. So it's just taking into account, as long as one of the 3 is marked complete and the other 2 aren't, that second label will appear. And so likewise for the 2 out of 3, and then the final one is quite an easy, I haven't screenshotted the requirements on that one, but it's basically saying that all 3 tasks are marked as complete. Oh, pardon me. So I hope that makes sense, how I've set that up. So on each of the activities, I've set up completion requirements. And again, I've made the assumption that we're familiar about setting up completion requirements. So I think for the, what is your superhero name, was, I don't remember what that was. Is that a forum? So you had to post, you had to start a discussion thread in that forum. Choose your superhero origin story. So that was from, it's a choice activity, so you just have to make a choice. And the first one, I promise never to reveal my true identity, is a label like the policy was at the start. So I've just chosen 3 activities at random. But, yeah, so you should be able to, and the idea of that is that from a student's point of view, and of course, so that's what you're seeing it as, you'll only see one of those at any point in time, and they will appear in the same spot at the top of the topic section. And so basically it's just giving a status notification. So you could do this at the bottom of maybe a topic area as well. It could be, you know, you haven't yet met the requirements to complete this section of the course or something like that. And then suddenly when they have met it, you can change what the label is. So in my case, I think I've got fireworks showing at the very end. And I've just used traffic light type colouring on that. Actually, I've used the bootstrap classes. Maybe that's something for another day. But yeah, it's just text with a class around it. So again, any questions, just hit me with that. The next one, now unfortunately I am going just a little too fast for my own good here, is this one. It's just a red flag. And so what will happen is, this was actually, I set this up as a time released one. And so this came about, as I said at the start, was when I was meeting, I'll get to that, Natalie. Natalie's asked how I had the timer. This one was come about from the conversation I had about 2 weeks ago with a teacher who said they wanted to show a video to motivate the students at a certain point in the course, assuming they should have completed, maybe 10 different tasks and they hadn't. Could they have a video just pop up if by a certain date and time they hadn't actually done those 10 tasks? And this is what this is an example of, a very simple one, because I only have one task, which is sitting there, the superhero glossary. And so there's 2 requirements on that. This label is not shown unless, so it's after a certain date and time, so it's 1:30 p.m. today, my time in Hong Kong, so it's in about 6 minutes time. And the superhero glossary is incomplete. So if you're before that time, all the glossary is complete, you won't actually see this video. So yeah, if you do want to see it, don't complete the glossary and wait about 5 minutes until 5 minutes 30 seconds. To answer your question, Natalie, I got the timer from timeanddate.com. You could probably delete your glossary entry, Lynn, if you've added one. So timeanddate.com, if you go there, there's a section where you can create your own timers and clocks and so on, and what it will do, give you the HTML code for it. It's actually an iframe, and so I've just added a label, switched into HTML mode, and just pasted the iframe code in there. Yep. Cool. Yeah, you can grab me afterwards, Natalie, if that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's kind of cool, actually. So for the iMoot presenters, for moderators, we've got our own course, but it's actually got clocks because we're all on different time zones, and obviously it gets confusing about when you're meant to be online and so on. So everyone's got a clock on their own time zone, which is quite nice. But this one's just a countdown. So I don't know if I can waffle on for 4.5 more minutes, so I shall move on. The next slide is, it's just a picture of it, but it's gamification. So it's, I guess you call it gamifying, of course. So making gameplay. And I've just noticed a lot of work or a lot of focus on this recently. And it's not so much it's not just about making it fun and engaging. It's actually recognizing that there are some very useful learning concepts in the way that people play games. If you think about any first-person shooter game, you actually need to learn skills along the way, and there's different stages you need to get to, and you actually need to get better and better at the game. So you are learning skills to get to the end to achieve some goal. And so then it's recognizing that people are very good at learning this way. And so I saw a great presentation recently at the 21st Century Learning Conference here in Hong Kong, where a teacher had gone through and she'd broken it down and into different concepts and she was trying to bring into a course. And it was things like in games, there's usually it's very small jumps in what you need to achieve, and there's save points along the way, so that if you were playing a first player shooter and you died, usually you don't have to go all the way back to the start. You just go back to a save point. It's a short step back and you can continue. And there's a lot of help along the way. There's a lot of collaboration with other users. And so just putting all these concepts together, and some we're familiar with, but some were quite new, and it's all about how you deliver these courses. That said, this course here was one that Vinny Stocker had created. He did this about 4 years ago, I think, for a conference, again, that was here in Hong Kong. He came and presented there. And this was when the conditional activities and the completion tracking was all new. And so it is using just those two systems and labels. That's purely what it is in this course. And so if you're in my course, you can click on it. It should link to it. You'll have to self-enroll into it, but it's sitting on this iMoot site. Used it with Vinny's permission. Again, I didn't check it, so I'm hoping it works. But the idea is, just put my mouse over and get this red dot moving. The idea is that this is, all you'll see when you first come in is this picture here, and it's just a label, and it's an image map. So as you go over it, you'll see the mouse, won't sit on the screen, but you'll see it when you go live. The mouse will change and these links in there, and they're linked to orphaned activities in Moodle. So I think there's like a quiz, there's a forum in there, there's a Wikipedia article you have to go and view, and so on. So as you do each of those, you complete it, little doubloons will suddenly appear. So they're like I had the badges. These little doubloons will appear at the top. And once you've got 5 of those, they will spell out a word, and there'll be a quiz that will appear above that, and you just need to put the word that it spells in the quiz, and then a treasure chest will appear above that. Now, the treasure chest and the doubloons are really just labels. They're just pictures, but obviously set to appear on some conditions. So it's just making a fun learning experience, really, and you can learn all about Black Bart. In fact, by the end of that, you will probably know some information about a real pirate called Black Bart. So at this point, I suspect everyone who's in this session has actually gone off and is doing the pirate course. Yes, you are. Which is fine. And that red flag notice will be available. Yeah. Oh, awesome, Tabitha. That red flag one's available in 12 seconds, according to the countdown. So, yeah. So if you haven't done the superhero glossary, you should have a video appear. And it's really nothing. I just found it on YouTube. So what I will do is I actually don't have any more to talk about. Oh, cool. Well, Tabitha, let him do the pirate course. Absolutely, yeah. It actually wouldn't be a bad user interface thing to do. See if a 5-year-old can navigate around it. As I say, isn't that one of the great things about Apple and the iPhone was that any 5-year-old kid could actually use it. They didn't need to be trained to use it. They just could use it. Probably a good thing for online courses too. Can we naturally use it without training? Yeah, just thoughts going off. So there are 5 examples. What I was thinking was, I don't know if anyone here actually has any thoughts, any examples that you've done, you've seen. Have you got any questions about how I've set that up? Love this slide. This is a questions found in Google autocomplete. Yeah. Or should I just wait for everyone to finish the pirate course? Because it can take some time. Oh, sorry, Tabitha. You might need to just reload it or something. Yeah, I've seen that before too. We did fix it on one of the sites, and I can't remember how I did that. Forgot what it was related to. Yeah. It's something to do with the course summary in the files, I think. Oh, okay. If I find a solution, I'll let you know. So. Yeah. So let me just say. Oh, that might be it. Yeah, Dorothy. So that's something I didn't mention, is that you can put these restrict access conditions on whole topic sections as well. Yeah, which I had actually done in my presentation course because it wasn't until you ticked that very first box the other topic sections appeared, or should have only appeared underneath after that. The other thing I did, just to let you know, in this course, because I had time-based release on it, I also had an extra condition in there, although I've pulled it out now, not that you can see it. I had a user profile condition in there, so I said either you've met these requirements that I wanted, or I had your email address is equal, and I put my email address in. So I knew that if I could switch my role to student, and I could test the course out as a student ahead of time without the time-based conditions affecting me, which was quite nice as well. Those user profile conditions are really handy because it does mean you can do things like, you know, put up a PDF and release it just to one student if you wanted to, because the email address is it's a unique identifier. Lynn Ray, I use it for assignments after students submit and I mark. The suggested answer appears. Oh, awesome. I like that. It should work with groups. They've moved, yeah, so you can do group conditions now as well. What version was that? Very recent, but which I guess you could always do anyway. You could restrict access by groupings, but I guess it's just changed around a bit to see what group conditions on now as well. Cool. So I was just going to ask, open it up. Does anyone, if there's any other questions, or if you have any ideas, so other things like already some good examples in there. Or not. What I'll also do is I'll tidy up some of these oh, Natalie, so you have issue backing restoring. Yeah, I don't know. Settings also, I don't know why that would be actually. Yeah, sorry, Maury. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Natalie. That's some unique issue on yours. Yeah, I can't read enough. Yeah, sorry, Tabitha. I don't think Vinny set this up for 5-year-olds. I will mention it to him though. I don't need to. He's actually in this course, so there we go. he's listening right now. Vinny, we need a 5-year-old version.
I'm just going to jump in and say thank you, Shane, very much for your presentation today. Looks like we got a lot into it. Oh, I can't get into the pilot course, so we'll solve that. If you've got any more questions or suggestions, you're most welcome to contact Shane through the forums at any point regarding what he talked about today or anything else you might like to know. But again, just thank you so much for attending today. And of course, you can stay in this room for as long as you like and keep asking questions. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.